Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Origins. In this episode we are looking at Lugia and Ho-Oh, the two mascots for Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and of course Gold and Silver. So let's get going. As Lugia comes before Ho-Oh in the Pokedex, we'll start with Lugia. It is the diving Pokemon, it is number 249, it stands at 5.2 meters tall or 17 foot 1 inch, and weighs 216 kilograms or 476.2 pounds. It is a legendary Pokemon and the master of the Kanto bird trio. Lugia bears many resemblances to dragons, plesiosaurs, and birds. It has a silver white with blue underside, and has a ridged beak-like mouth with teeth on its lower jaw. It has a point on the back of its head, and its eyes have blue spikes on them. They have long, slender necks with streamlined bodies, the exception being blue spike-like protrusions on their back and two on their tail. They have large wings that resemble hands. They were inspired by the Ryujin, a dragon who lived on the ocean floor and was the Shinto god of the sea, was possibly the basis for this. It also ties in with the shiny form, as Ryugojo's palace was made of red and white coral, of which is the same colouring as Lugia's shiny form. The beluga whale is also a possibility, due to the white skin and similar body shape. Lugia are genderless, so therefore there are no gender differences, and its shiny form is white with red scales and belly. Pokedex entries tell us that if Lugia flaps its wings, it can cause a 40-day storm, that it is the guardian of the seas, and that it spends its time at the bottom of the sea as its powers are far too strong, as we see in the Pokemon movie The Power of One. The name Lugia could come from lutetium, which is a silver element referring to Lugia's kind of colouring, Lugio, which is Latin for to lie dormant, referencing the fact that it stays at the bottom of the ocean, and Luna, which is Latin for moon. This could link in with the fact that Ho-Oh kind of resembles the sun, and Lugia could then resemble the moon. It may also come from beluga whale, the Lugabit. Now moving on to Ho-Oh, its Japanese name is Hu-Oh. It is the rainbow Pokemon. It is number 250 in the National Dex, and stands at 3.8 meters tall or 12 foot 6 inches, and weighs 199 kilograms or 438.7 pounds. It is a legendary Pokemon and the master of the legendary beasts. Ho-Oh is a phoenix-like bird that has gold and red as its dominant colourings. It loosely resembles a peacock and has yellow tail feathers, a white underside, and green feathers at the tips of its wings. It has a green stripe on its neck, a yellow beak, and black rings around its red eyes. It also has a feathered crest and prismatic wings, causing them to leave a rainbow behind Ho-Oh when it flies. Ho-Oh was inspired by the Huma bird, a legendary bird said to never rest, and that it resurrects itself and others in ashes and flames. This relates to the fact that Ho-Oh is based off of a phoenix, which can resurrect itself due to legend, and that the fact that Ho-Oh resurrected the legendary beasts. It may also be a symbol of fortune and friendship, giving those to happiness who glimpse it. And Ho-Oh may come from Fen Huang, the immortal phoenix of China. This relates to the fact that Ho-Oh resurrected Raikou, Entei, and Suicune, as I mentioned already, and Ho-Oh may have also come from other firebirds, for example the three-legged bird, the Simurgh, and the ember bird. It may also be based off of the rainbow-feathered bird god Achilles-Bopa. Like Lugia, Ho-Oh is a genderless Pokemon, so therefore there are no gender differences, and its shiny form is predominantly gold and silver, and the green coloured on its wings is now orange. Pokedex entries tell us that anyone who sees Ho-Oh is promised eternal happiness, possibly related to Ash's seeing Ho-Oh in the first episode of the anime. And Ho-Oh also has 7 coloured wings, although we only see a few in game just due to the limitations of the game storing colours. The name Hu-Oh comes from an alternate transcription of Hu meaning phoenix, specifically Fen Huang, and U may also refer to O meaning emperor or O meaning king. Ho-Oh is, like Hu-Oh, an alternate transcription of Hu, and again specifically Fen Huang. Now looking at these size comparisons, you can see that Lugia is the biggest bigger than Ho-Oh, whereas Ho-Oh is a bit smaller, and I'm a lot smaller than all of them, so they are pretty damn big. I don't know whether this, the size or the height relates to the actual height or the wingspan. I would assume the actual height because it says height in the Pokedex, so yeah, we'll go with that. Looking at some sprite comparison here, you can see that starting off with Lugia, its sprites stay fairly the same, although in Gold and Crystal you can actually see its wings, the fingers on them, kind of parted a bit more than they do now. Whereas Crystal, it kind of just goes back to, and then as you go to Generation 3 and Generation 4 and then Generation 5, it kind of keeps its hands together a lot more. And now doing the same for Ho-Oh here, you can see in the original games, in the Generation 2 games, its sprite looked a bit messed because it was kind of too big and you couldn't really deviate much of it, but as we got into Generation 3, it was a lot clearer, and then again onto Generation 4 and Generation 5. So that is it for this episode of Pokemon Origins. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to tune in next time while we're looking at Celebi.